Character creation is actually very important, not only in storytelling though, but also for things outside of writing, like playing RPGs, playing Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, creating a character, being an actor. Character creation is very important in many aspects. So, I mean, that's what we're going to touch on here. Mind you, in no way are we the experts in what we say is law.
No. Everything we've learned over the years, we have learned the hard way. Like, I'm not even joking. Sometimes I think that we should run a panel called, like, How Not to Suck.
How we did it so you
How
don't
we did
have
it so
to.
you don't screw up like we did. Yeah. It's you know what, honestly, I feel like that's part of the creative process no matter what you do. Like, you're always going to stumble, you're always going to fall, people are always going to criticize you. Like, first things first, like, if people tell you you can't do it, tell them to shut the hell up. Yeah. Because you can. Seriously, it's not even worth listening to, like, trolls and haters anymore. If you have a story to tell your story. Yeah. That's really what matters. I mean, that's what we're about. It's kind of funny because
you're just never going to make everybody happy.
No, you're never going to make, what do I always say? You're never going to make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time. It's never going to happen.
You said no mass.
No mass. I lied!
I want punch and pile subdivision.
But it's very true. You're always going to stumble, and it might take you some time to find a good kind of medium on developing your characters and your stories. Like, Otaku no Yen was our first project, and it's a slice of life comedy. The no is English, so it literally means geeks without money, okay? Guess who it's based on? Right? And the characters...
Our ode to Mary Sue.
Yeah, it is. Like, oh my god, that's what we should name the third book, is our ode to Mary Sue.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm totally gonna... Because the first one is called As Seen on the Interwebs. The second one is We Still Haven't Figured It Out. So, but like seriously, the characters are all based on people we know, which I think is part of what kind of made the fan base enjoy it, was because people we would run into consistently at conventions wound up becoming characters in the comic. Yeah, like our fan base wound up kind of becoming our characters to an extent. Book 3's still in the works, so you still have time. Woo! Come buy stuff. Your odds of getting in are much better.
What?
But I thought you said it was geeks without money.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can change that.
And then book 4 will be called We Just Got Money.
Right? Book 4, sweet webcomic
All that
money.
sweet webcomic money that's rolling in.
But the characters, it's funny because when we started, they were literally like purely based on me and Richard and our roommate at the time, Nicole. And the characters over time, I don't know, Draz is still pretty like you. But,
yeah, well, except for the facial hair.
Except for the facial hair. He has facial hair now. Yeah. In the third book. Shut up.
In the third book.
I learned to draw beards for you. Shut the hell up. But the characters wound up eventually kind of becoming very different entities. Like they're still similar to us in certain ways, but not. Like they've become their own thing. Whip Angels was a completely different process. Whip Angels, we went through what we call the Tolkien syndrome, where we sat down with notebooks and we analyzed the living crap out of everything. We approached it from, has anybody in here ever seen Pixar's 23 Rules to Creating a Perfect Story? This is something that the studio utilizes, and we managed to get our hands on it, and we utilized it when we started developing Whip Angels. And let me just tell you, it makes such a huge difference. Concept ways about making your characters more relatable, ways to take the hero through the hero's journey, which, by the way, if you've never heard of the hero's journey, you will. If you're going to become a writer, you will hear all about the damn hero's journey.
If you've played Final Fantasy, you know the
you know the hero's journey. If you've read Lord of the Rings, you know the hero's journey. But when we approached Whip Angels, we knew we wanted a cast of characters that were very different from anything we've done before. And we wanted them, it's what we jokingly call like Sentai, like the 5-man team, right? But we took kind of a very different spin on it, and each character has a very strongly developed background and individual personality. They're relatable, and they're very like fallible characters. Like all of them have their problems and issues. and some of them are very weak. I mean, we've got a girl who had like massive like weight issues in real life and things that are very, very, very relatable. It gets kind of dark after a while. I'm not gonna say how, but
So, does anybody have
It's
any
dark, she stopped
It's
doing it.
dark.
out the door questions right now about
Just
characters?
don't do it.
Something, a character that you're having an issue fleshing out. Any?
Q&A is gonna be a big part of this panel. So
Yeah.
like, just seriously, if you have questions, throw them at us.
What's your process on character creation?
We'll start with that, and then we'll get to you.
The dartboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wizards. No.
Ouija board.
Richard, do you want to start?
Well, with I always want to try and start with an everyday normal person because it's easier to relate with somebody that I would see on the street than it is for
Legolas.
yeah somebody who's extraordinary no matter what they do because everybody they just shine way too much. I want an everyday normal person, but what makes them a relatable person is what's more important to me. When we created Lily, we needed to come up with flaws for her, that would make her an everyday regular person. With Lily, she was a petty theft. She was a petty thief. Nothing huge, a pack of gum here, candy bar.
She'd get cranky and steal a Snickers
She'd like
from the
the
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
She'd like take, $50 out of her mom's purse.
Well, it wasn't for the thrill, it was I want it.
Yeah. She's kind of a snot. Like the main character of Whip Angels, she's a little bit of a pain in the butt.
But now, once you figure out that quirk, now why is she like that? You have to determine why somebody's going to be that particular way. Was it that's the way they were brought up? Were they an only child? Were they the youngest child and the older child got all the praise and attention from mom and dad? Are they orphaned
Perfect
and
child.
had no parents?
It was the concept of going, okay, we know we want our main character to kind of be a pain in the butt. Why is she a pain in the butt? What made her a pain in the butt? How did her family relate to her in that aspect? What was her social life like? What was her life at school? Like it seems so minuscule, and some of it is things that like may never even come up in the books.
Mm-hmm.
But we know, and we hope that like people will start over time to identify with that. So we tend to, I know Richard and I both at this point, I think we tend to look at everything from a standpoint of every facet of that character. Like what would they be like in real life? And I want our character, like all of the characters in our books at this point are incredibly multifaceted and in my opinion very relatable. They make dumb decisions. They do stupid things like you and I do.
Sort of related to that, do you try to front load that and sort of do that work before you even get started with the character, or do you kind of start with more general and figure it out as you go?
No, we it kind of depends. Different characters in Whip Angels have kind of surfaced in different ways. Like Lily was actually the hardest one for me from like a visual standpoint, because we knew what we wanted her to kind of be like, but it took us a while to flesh her out. Whereas like Katarina, who's another one of our characters, like she was easy. We knew right off the bat exactly like all of the facets of her because she's very fandom related. So we're like, oh, that's easy. Poof, there she is. There's our stupid cat girl character. Like it was easy. Lily took, at least for me, months. And I went through probably about 15 different drafts of her design before I got to one that I even kind of liked.
Well, I remember with the doctor too, you had the look down, and then we were trying to figure out
with
her purpose.
Oh yeah. There's one of the
So-
characters in the book is Malpractice. She's they have awesome derby names. Let me just tell you. We knew what we wanted her to be like, but like we had her design first.
Because
her design
we had her
was-
design, and then we needed to decide if it was her being like vindictive or just a like desperate mistake.
Yeah, it was an interesting little journey. Every single character has been a little different though, because like with some of them, the character designs we just had done, and I'm like, ooh, because I personally took a lot of flack for Otaku no Yad for not having a very culturally diverse cast.
Yeah.
Because it's very like
You guys
straight
are
up
all
anime.
white.
Everybody looks very anime-ish, right? Somebody sent me an email and they're like, why are there no black characters in your book? And I'm like, oh crap. it wasn't like an intentional thing, but I'm like, oh, that's a really valid question. So
Well, this is Minnesota, and we've only got like 5 of them to go around.
So with Whip Angels, we have a character who's Russian. We have a character who's Indian. We have a character who's African American. We have a character who's a furry kind of ish. So I mean, we've tried to be a little more diverse with our casting in this one, even from like a cultural perspective. So it's a.
Sorry, I'm looking and we're already 2 years in.
I know, and it's like everybody's Caucasian because that's
Shame
it's
on
anime. Like they're all like. Yeah.
Wait, there we go.
Hey, we found one.
It took 2.5 years,
thank
and they're in the background.
you.
But they're there.
They're there.
No, and it was something that we didn't give a lot of thought to.
Again, made lots of mistakes.
Yeah.
Nothing intentional, but over the years you go, oh, derp, I guess I shouldn't do that.
But for her, she's a co-creator. She's helping with the concept. But as the writer, I need to know more about these characters. So I mean, it's interesting partnering up as one person the writer, one person the artist.
We fought a lot.
We still fight a lot.
We still fight a lot.
Like I said,
Whip Angels is like we get passionate about our sides of it. So, and you had a question.
You had a question.
Right.
My name is India.
I love your
Hello.
makeup.
I'm just saying, I'm kind of fat.
Okay.
Just saying. All right, duly noted. More questions about the process, about anything. Don't be shy. Come on. There's an awful lot of you in here. Yes.
Right.
How do you lay out the character in a way that's like a D&D character sheet I guess, how do you make your character's profile in terms of all the information? Is there any?
Do you have like a
for
database or?
Starter, I would definitely say starting is knowing what the numbers mean. Like, what does a 12 strength mean? Like, how strong is that? What is a 4 intelligence?
No, it's true.
Because if you have an orc with 2 intelligence and you have it, like being a professor, that's not a thing.
You have it using
Lick science.
And then because with D&D it's at least somewhat easy. Like if you pick this one race, it's from here. And as long as you read their little bio, you understand what their homeland is like. And then you need to, one of the things you can do is decide why they left, why they're adventuring. So just like the basis for everything, and then building up. Because I sometimes go out of the box with my D&D characters. Like I had a druid who was not prissy. She was an elf, but she was kind of silly and all over the place. She, I think my friends got a little annoyed with me because she was a master of many forms, so she could turn into a bunch of different things, and she could talk, which is not a usual thing. It's a special ability. So the nobles got mad at us. So then to retaliate, I was the dog in their tree mooing, or like the squirrel throwing acorns at them. One of the other characters in the party I was really attached to, so every time I learned a new form, I would show him, usually in really awkward, inappropriate ways. Like he'd wake up and there was a dark tentacle on his ceiling.
That's awesome.
And that was just kind of it. I just made her silly and stuck with it.
I mean, something that I think a lot of character creation misses is, okay, how many of you just tomorrow you're going to wake up and decide, you know what, the heck with this, I'm leaving, I'm going to go on an adventure.
I go to an adventure to the kitchen, eat something.
I mean,
I'm gonna go to
there
Bali
has
for
to
a
be,
while.
I mean, usually a reason for somebody going on an adventure,
Right.
it builds up over
You're following
years.
somebody, you don't want
Years
to
and
be
years.
there
You're not just
anymore.
gonna, break your routine all of a sudden and just, I'm out of here.
Right.
And well, you can't always just have them kill your parents, that gets old after a while.
I mean, there's
Well, and that's-
spontaneous, and then there's completely out of
Yeah.
left field.
Can I just say too, like with and I don't want to get too spoilerish, but like with that, what he just said, we had a real challenge when we started coming up with the backgrounds for Whip Angels, because like the whole concept behind it is that there's some people in life that don't do enough good to get into up there, but they don't do enough bad to get into down there. and they have to pass some kind of form of final judgment, right? So purgatory is technically a roller rink. And each
Well, there's a roller rink
in purgatory. There's actually multiple things going on, but we had to think about like how did each of the characters get there, and we had a couple of things that were like super cliche,
Yeah.
and we had to go back and I'm like, oh, come on, like that's kind of crap. If I read it in a book, I'd be like,
Yeah.
dude, you're phoning it in,
Well,
you know.
and it was one of those things too where you couldn't be horrible, but you couldn't be like really slap. on
Yeah,
the wrist
that was
either.
the other
You really
thing.
had to be.
Yeah.
Lily, we actually almost had an alternate way. In the very first like 5 pages, we're going to go very differently initially, but it was going to involve a gun. And then it was like right after the whole Batman movie theater incident had happened, and we're like,
And that's gone.
and maybe we should come up with something else because we don't want it to look like we're making a statement on something, and like that was not even our approach. But
We're trailing off of character creation, though.
I know, but sorry. All right.
No, I lost my train of thought.
It's over there.
Well, I actually had an idea that I thought would be kind of interesting for doing this panel is, would anybody be willing to be an example?
Like
Yay!
a person or like a character? Other person's character. Doesn't matter.
Because sometimes a visual can lead to creating a character. Okay, we know nothing about this individual.
Nope.
You know,
Just
just
she likes blue.
we know that he's an anime convention. We have no background on him. So, what can we garner just from a visual right now that we could create as a character? Throw things out.
Yeah.
He's a gamer.
Okay, he's got glasses. What do the glasses say about him?
Possibly poor eyesight.
Possibly poor eyesight.
You can see it in the future.
Well, I'm pretty sure glasses are probably going to say that he has poor
They
eyesight.
have those like fake ones that people wear.
No.
Like
Not fake.
Yeah. I'm not saying yours.
He's like they're real.
Okay.
But what do glasses stereotypically give an illusion of?
Intelligence. Reading. I got really good bookworm.
We're not
Okay.
saying you're not intelligent.
Glasses
No.
mean you're awesome.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
second,
Okay, so we can determine now, okay, so we can say, just from using just quick visuals, maybe he's a very studious person.
Right.
Right?
Character doesn't snicker during creation.
Oh yes, they do.
yeah.
I beg to differ.
Okay, so we have a studious individual who's at a convention.
I feel like I shouldn't be smiling now.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
You're not Gendo Ikari. It's
Okay.
okay. You can smile.
What else can we pick from what we see right now?
Very dressed down right now.
Okay,
Hoodie.
he's very casual. He's casual.
But probably lives in a city.
And why would you say that?
Because there's a city on here, I think, unless I can't see.
Let's
No,
see.
I can't see.
Looks like a city to me.
Skyline sort of thing.
Okay, okay.
Cool.
Well, also he's not in like.
Does he seem nervous?
No.
He probably could.
Very relaxed.
He's very relaxed, okay. So we have a studious person who is not nervous, so we have taken away any kind of the stereotypical nerd character that you see out there. They're very, hunched down shoulders, glasses,
Comic book.
He's not going to be on Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory is a great example of stereotyping.
Cautionary.
And this is why I hate that show.
But there's only one character on that show that is just bleeding the stereotype.
Unfortunately, he bleeds enough that it's painful.
Okay, so now that we have a studious, non-nervous, very confident but dressed down character, what can we? Let's make him a superhero.
You go.
Okay.
Wait, take off the glasses.
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Superman. I mean, you put the glasses on, nobody recognizes
Okay, you know what?
him.
I did not think that was a thing until I experienced it, like myself. Put a wig on, put my contacts in. Nope.
So now, okay, let's create, let's make this guy a superhero now.
Yeah.
What kind of a superpower would you give him?
He's techie.
He's a tech.
Techie.
Super, super smart.
Super smart.
Oh, we'll make him cipher.
So we want to make him, like a Professor X?
Yeah.
What about a necromancer?
A necromancer?
A necromancer.
A necromancer.
Oh.
So he can make electronics.
Control technology.
He can control technology, okay.
So has he done this scientifically, or is it magic, or is it?
Now we're getting into the process here. This is exactly where I wanted to go with
Get
this.
bit by a robot spider. Sorry.
So, okay, now we're getting into the character creation process. This is what I wanted to institute here. People asking questions, well, how did this happen? So let's create the character. You can sit down if you would like. Now that we have...
Thank you for your,
Now we need to deliver the party.
We're gonna use this giant box of tacos.
Okay, so we're creating a necromancer now. Okay, so how did he get the power?
Aliens.
He was electrocuted while installing a graphics card.
Makes sense.
Nanotechnology.
Okay, so now we've gone... Okay, so we have 3 different concepts here. We have extraterrestrial, we have scientific, and we have fantastic. So now we're actually going, what kind of a story we want to tell with this character. Do we want it to be high fantasy? Do we want it to be somewhat based in reality? A very possible reality? Do we want it to be, science fiction?
Reality is boring.
Reality can be boring, but reality can also be extremely interesting.
Depending.
I mean,
and this is just like, but this is where you start getting into the nitty gritty of it. Like, what kind of world did they come from too? Because that does play into the character creation. Because depending on whether he gets his abilities through some kind of fantastic means versus some kind of technical means, how is he going to use those powers too? Once you have that established, what kind of world is he in? Like, I would go, okay, urban fantasy, right? But that's just because I'm a Kim Harrison nut job and I love everything she does.
okay, so if it was granted by aliens, why did the aliens give him the power?
Maybe he was studying that.
Maybe he was
Too many nights
They
on
were-
set.
fantastic.
They were studying.
Yeah, abduction gone wrong. That's good.
Abduction gone wrong. That's an interesting thought. Okay. So,
Fantastic.
abducted, and was it they gave him the powers, or was it a side effect because
Power
of...
surge from the pros.
Ooh. I'm sorry, you've been probed now.
Probably not going to talk about that one much.
I mean, yeah, because you get down to it, though. Okay, so now we have him up on the alien ship. Is it a side effect of, the 2 species, just like a drug side effect?
Right.
Is it purposely given to him? Was it accidentally given to him because of a surge or
Well, and also,
from the
were they
probe? Or...
looking for him, or was he somewhere suspicious that he was who they could pick up easily with somebody new?
Now you're getting into the ideas of all the questions you can ask to develop a character. We haven't even gotten into where he's going tomorrow.
Right.
We haven't started a story with them.
Well, yeah.
We're just creating the character.
And then you still have the, why didn't you just stay normal? Why didn't you go superhero? Why didn't you go villain?
Yeah, we don't even know if he's going to use his powers.
Right.
He has them, maybe,
I can make the toaster dance. Gonna go play video games.
Hey, if you played video games, you could rock at everything.
Right? I was
Yeah,
thinking
you
that I'm
could.
like, he'd be like, not hands-free, just like, move, I'll tell you, come on.
Oh, City Hall's on fire. One more
All
level.
the speed runs, all of them.
And would he use if he decided to use it, would he use them for good or for evil?
Or
Yes.
why?
Or walk a thin line in between the two?
Anti-hero? He saves people to keep their quality.
I'm a big fan.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, let's look at different concepts, okay? Name superheroes out there that are heroes,
You
traditional
guys
heroes.
don't know a superhero.
Now,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Batman.
Batman,
Green
Batman, I
Lantern.
don't put as a superhero.
He's a hero.
He's kind of the
Let's do
anti-hero.
He's a really rich jerk.
Yeah. Iron Man. Iron Man. I think he's awesome.
He's
Iron Man fits in there as anti-hero
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
Superman, very traditional superhero.
Yes.
Kick-ass.
Kick ass! Yay.
Deadpool, anti-hero?
He's like,
He's more like the jester of the.
Okay,
He's
now
like the nega hero.
traditional supervillains. Your traditional supervillain.
Joker.
Joker,
Ah, there you go.
Lex Luthor,
Darkseid. Magneto.
There.
Magneto.
And Magneto's another like walks that thin
Yeah.
line type thing.
Such a good villain.
Yeah.
But now,
Almost
okay.
right.
Has anybody ever seen Hancock?
Man.
oh,
Oh
gosh, I
man, the
love
first half
that
of
movie.
that.
Is he a hero?
Nobody
I-
likes you.
I think so.
I think he kind of makes
but
a shift in that region. It starts out as an anti-hero, becomes a pure hero.
But and that's the line of why did it become good? Why did he become evil? Like whichever the shift happens.
Yeah, now talking about Batman. Batman's kind of the anti-hero. He does what he has to, but why? Why did Batman become a hero? A quote-unquote
Psychotic
hero.
break.
doesn't know what to do with it.
Because he didn't like people wearing hockey
His
pads.
mom and dad.
Yes.
Revenge.
Yep.
Revenge is where it started. Revenge is not a very heroic
No.
trait.
But he's still got that moral line he doesn't cross. Like under any
Sometimes.
circumstance.
And that's why, and that really is what puts him as the anti-hero. He still has a code.
And on the other side, one of the best Batman villains is kind of like the anti-villain.
Yeah. Because he's punishing people because he was hurt, not because he just wants to make things better.
Really buff almost.
You know, he doesn't like to kill. He doesn't want to kill.
Another good example was anybody familiar with Marvel's Civil War series? When they did Civil War? Because watching the distinct line between Iron Man and Captain America in that series, Cap just wanted to be the good guy. Tony wanted to make money. And it was really, like, if you ever get a chance to read it and you want to see, like, the perfect example of, like, hero versus hero, like, find the collected editions of Marvel Civil War. It's well worth reading.
Is that the one where they had to register?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have Watchmen, which is just its own
Oh,
thing.
Watchmen is such a beautiful case study for
It really
anti-heroes.
is.
Anyway, Ernst does a good job.
Anybody got any questions?
Comes close, but.
Yes.
Oh no, I know what one of the biggest things to avoid and to make sure you don't make a mess.
Oh, well,
To make sure you don't what? I'm sorry.
I see. I'm kind of a mixed bag when it comes to the term Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Mary Suing is
We're just like,
okay. To use the traditional Mary Suing, you know, taking yourself and plugging yourself into another universe. That's pretty easy to avoid.
Yeah.
Just don't make myself. I'm not going to put myself in Gotham City.
But you could. For pages.
No, because then I'd walk around the house all making all that heroes. Hello, brother.
But
And
I
that
don't have
hell.
a problem with using yourself and your quirks, your personality to create a character. I don't have a problem with that, and a lot of people do.
They say write what you know. How can you
Yeah.
really write what you know without being at least a little?
Can I throw in a perfect example? You guys have all seen Family Guy, right?
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane has gone on record as saying that Quagmire, Brian, and Stewie are the three characters that are based on the three aspects of his personality that he hates the most. He's literally, anytime you watch Family Guy, he's mocking the living crap out of himself.
Right.
He really is.
Wow, that's cool.
They go back and watch some of like the more serious episodes, like the Bank Vault episode.
Yeah.
Watch the Bank Vault episode now, and you'll be like, oh damn, Seth MacFarlane's messed up.
We knew that before.
Well, yeah, but still.
Yeah, the easiest way to avoid Mary Sue is just don't put yourself in an established universe as you. I always like to say, and are people familiar with True Blood?
Yes.
The Charlene Harris
I
Sophie
have
Stackhouse
all of it.
series.
The movies or the book? I mean,
Well, the
or book?
TV show, I think, plays out fairly well. I tried reading the books, and it felt very Mary Sue.
Yeah.
I can see that.
They're still good, except the ending.
They're kind of like the Sweet Valley High of vampire novels.
Yeah.
That's how I equate them, because you can read them in like an afternoon.
I also have a problem with people. I have a hard time reading books that are written in first person present tense.
We're looking at you, Laura K. Hamilton.
I hate how she always starts in the middle. She never starts at the beginning.
Yeah. She Mary Sue's a lot too, like blatantly.
No.
I think it's okay to take aspects of your own personality, like we said with the Seth MacFarlane reference. It's okay to take pieces of yourself and put them into certain characters. You just don't want them to become all representations of you.
Yeah.
But it's okay to go, oh, okay, I have a really crappy temper. Maybe it's okay to put that into this character so that I can at least relate to how he or she blows up when he gets really pissed off. That's
Generally
okay.
too, as long as you're not ignoring all the negative aspects.
Yeah.
Well,
Then
and
it's
yeah,
based
but
on your
it's
character.
also one of those things too. If you take a part of yourself and put it in a character, you know how that part is going to react.
Right.
You don't have to question what would this character do in this situation? Oh, right, this.
Kind of going along that same stem, I'm like, how do you keep your characters from sort of bleeding into each other?
Having too many characters that are identical, just different in name, but being the same person, pretty much.
Kind of like, how do you like keep them individualized?
That's a really good question. Do you want me to? I'll do, honestly, like the reason I keep referring to our one book is because it's the freshest instance in my mind.
Well, it's
so
also the most intricate.
it's also the most
character.
intricate character backgrounds that we've ever done.
50 Grains of White is not that intricate.
No, it's not. It's rice
fun.
balls.
It's a lot of fun, but it's interesting because like we know in this book we're going to have multiple characters that are confrontational, but what I would think is okay, I know I want Lily to be confrontational, and I know I want Missy to be very confrontational. She was a judge. Her name is Miss Trial. We want her to be confrontational as well, so like how do you keep them from becoming too similar or asymmetrical characters, right? Lily is very cranky because she's just pissy. She's like the best way I can put it is she's like, have you ever seen Venture Brothers? Like Triana Orpheus if she was just on PMS all the time. Like that's kind of Lily. Missy is confrontational because she likes competition. And everything she does is about like trying to be the bigger, better. Anything you can do, I can do better. Right? So you can have like similar personality traits, but give their reasons for those personality traits a different background of sorts. Like Missy she liked competition in her real life. Lily really wasn't about competition. She's just kind of a bitch. So you can that
one word.
In that I took our one. Sorry, it's like Breaking Bad. We get one a season.
Yeah.
But you kind of, that way they have completely different reasons for being that way. And in giving them different reasons for having the same kind of personality trait, you give them a very different background and a very different approach.
And
whereas
they're gonna respond
Lily's
differently.
reaction would be like, whatever.
And then walk away.
Yeah, and
Or-
Missy will be like, I'm not done with you yet,
Right.
you know? Like, completely different approaches.
I haven't fully won this conversation. Get back here.
Yeah. I need the last word.
Okay.
Totally.
To use examples that everybody would probably understand, okay, look at Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark. Very similar characters.
Both very rich.
Both very rich. Both are not superheroes, but they're heroes. But you rely on technology to... How are they different, though?
I mean, Bruce Wayne, his money annoys him for a long time until he finally finds something that he thinks is worth putting it to.
Whereas,
Tony loves his money.
Tony rolls around in it in his bed on a nightly basis. Yeah.
Batman uses
Lights
Bruce
around.
Wayne and plays a character as Bruce Wayne and goes
Right.
out and gallivants about the hate of it. Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's a good guy.
Batman
But I
pretends
just-
to be Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark pretends to be Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's a good way of
That's
putting
an
it.
excellent way of putting it, yeah.
And I mean, but and they still have their similarities. They still have like the one girl they'll do anything for. Wow. And
One?
well,
Have you seen Tony Stark?
yeah, Batman's not really good at it either. I like
Early
you.
Tony
Come see
Stark.
the Batman.
Early Tony Stark, that's fair.
Right, but I'm just saying there's still moments where they're similar, but still different characters. It's okay for them to have similar moments. You just don't need them to win.
Tony also really likes to kind of jet set, like he's kind of adventurous, he's very, you know, puts himself out there and he's like, heck yeah, I got the dollars, I'm traveling, and Bruce Wayne's like, I'm in first class on my
Tony's
private
definitely an
jet.
extrovert,
Well,
and Bruce Wayne's an introvert.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
They have very
Bruce Wayne
different
is-
key personality traits. that-
I think Bruce Wayne also sets up a different personality for that versus Batman. Like, I've got, you know, like 4 ladies on my arm as I'm walking in here. And I
It's
seem
his
like I don't
behavior.
care, and I'm the spoiled rich kid. Well, nobody would say Batman
Is
has
the spoiled rich
kid.
kid.
So there clearly can't be the same person.
Whereas when Tony's in the Iron Man suit, he's still Tony.
Yeah, there's no difference.
You know?
Well, what made them that way, though, are also their histories.
Right.
I mean, okay, Bruce was orphaned, raised by his butler.
Yeah, and still needs his
A
butler.
really awesome butler.
Right.
Tony, yes, he lost his father when he was young-ish.
And what the hell happened to his mom?
I don't think he has one. I think he
It's like
just
a
was
Disney
born in a.
movie.
Everybody's got a mom.
Tony Stark
She
created
moved to
himself.
Florida.
Tony Stark was born in a
But
cave.
Sprang out.
There's 50 Tony Starks in tubes at the Venture.
He was allowed to grow up as a
Get that
spoiled,
long.
rotten kid and be the trust fund,
Yeah.
I have money, I can do whatever I want.
Well, he's Tony. I mean, honestly, this is what makes me laugh. Tony's like the Rusty Venture of the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
but he's got the ability to back it up. Like,
Yeah.
Well, then
He really is.
Not
I
care
really
if
see
anybody
him
knows
just
he's
being
Iron
like the
Man.
little spoiled
Yeah.
kid with ADD that you
I would love to
constantly
see
just
like
have to
Rusty
give
in
something
Iron
new to, or he's bored and will blow something up.
yeah.
It is interesting to me that you keep bringing up Venture Brothers, because to me I feel like they had the opposite approach to characters of, we have no idea who these people are when we started the show. Like
Some of them that's the truth, but some of them that's
Right,
not
like,
the
I
truth.
feel like for
I
so
think
much of it they
Have you read? Do you
Sure.
read like Jackson Public or Doc Hammer's
No,
blogs?
no.
Yeah.
Go read them because
Okay.
like you would be amazed at the amount
Yeah.
of like thought process that goes into the characters
I
on
get
that
the
show.
impression watching it that they didn't really know what they wanted, but they came up with all these throwaway lines
Yeah.
about, oh,
In
this
some
happened 50 years
instances,
ago,
yeah.
this blah, 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 and then they just didn't lose track of it. They
But
just
what's-
went, all right, we said that once,
But
and
here's
then
what-
how did that happen?
But here's what's funny about that particular show. Like, I really urge you, like, read Jackson Public's
Okay.
blog.
Right.
It's amazing. You will learn so much about, like, their
Well,
creative process.
yeah.
But they have, like, character concepts from the very first season that come back, like, in season 4 and
Right.
5. And you're like, whoa, I thought that was, like, a one-off, and this is actually, like, an integral part of what's happening in the
Right.
character.
Well,
It's mind-blowing
But
how
the-
they
and
do
then
it.
and then you have like Family Guy who has what at least 3 explanations on how Lois and Peter first met.
Mhm.
There's like 3 different stories. Like every time they do a flashback, it's something different.
The appropriate answer is, what?
Yeah.
Well, but
I know, it's scary.
the character creation, though, they took concepts from, growing up, and they just turned them around.
Yeah.
So the characters themselves, I think they had the concepts, but they didn't create the history. That's what you were getting
I feel like
at.
it was a very small sketch that they started with, and then just blew it up.
And sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it'll be that way for 2 characters in the show,
Yeah.
and then 2 other characters you've been working on for 8 years, just waiting for a reason to use them, and
Kind of jump off that. At what point in your character creation process do you stop and say, I need to cut history off, otherwise, as I'm going through the story, I'm going to have no ability to say, oh, there was also this that kind of helped form this,
Right.
and bring that as part of the process, because you realize that, hey, I can add something to the character.
Well, it also comes down to the fact that if I spend all this time just writing their history, I'm not actually
You're not
moving
writing
forward and writing the
Yeah.
story that they're going to be, participating in.
And I can do that badly. I can spend all day, I'm working on my character. Sure I am. I'm not.
Tolkien was
Doing-
bad at it. There's a whole freaking book about it. Like, I'm looking at you.
Well, and
man.
I thoroughly believe part of the process is beating your head in your notebook. Like it has to happen.
Yeah.
Or It's part of it. Is you write part of the character, and you're just like,
I don't think there, to answer your question, I don't think there is one telltale sign that just says, you know, okay, I'm writing too much history, too much backstory.
Right.
I normally have a tendency to figure out, well, something happened, there is a state, but I'm not going to walk into it normally for role playing. For my GMs, I will give them 2 or 3 areas where something happened, I'll let you use it as a plot device.
Yeah.
And so when I actually start to do writing, I'll set aside things that something happened.
Right.
I kind of give a rough thing, but then I just kind of walk away from it.
And I think that works well when you have other people determining where the story goes. But when you're the one that's telling the whole story, when you're approaching like storytelling and character creation from like a solo perspective, like I know Richard and I have had this conversation several times, like because we've both been GMs, we get it. We actually had a comic many years ago that we spent more time developing backstory that we never actually put out the damn comic because it was like, okay, well, we don't want to really tell these character stories anymore. We just got engrossed in the world, and the world took over, and then we were like, ah, this is stupid, you know? And it sucks because like it could have been great, but we let that run away with us because we both had that like GM mentality. So you do have to kind of like you have to kind of remove yourself from that like game master thing if you're going to do something other than that with it.
Right.
Because otherwise you kind of get caught up going, well, what if this scenario happened? What if this scenario happened? What if this scenario happened? Like you kind of have to like pick and choose your scenarios and just pick like 2 paths and run with that instead of like 12.
Otherwise you end up with some kind of like strange dice rolling system. Like he went left.
Actually, I hate to say, I can tell you one comic book artist that I know has said that happened with him was Fred Gallagher, who does Mega Tokyo. Sweetest guy ever. I did a panel with him a couple years ago, and he made that comment. He's like sometimes he just got kind of like wound up in things, and had a hard time like figuring out how to move past it. So you do. I feel like you do have to kind of like stop yourself. You have to kind of police yourself and not go, oh, but what if this. Okay, wait. Let's narrow it down. Which one of those scenarios seems the most interesting? Like as a reader, what would I want to read?
Right.
And then pick those and run with it. Yeah.
Making choices is also
It's hard. I know it sucks.
Well, yeah, from the reader, that's the reason why I stopped reading Mega Tokyo.
That's it. It's the reason I stopped reading a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
When you're creating a character, do you ever think about how you want that character to die while you're making the character?
I do.
Yes.
If you know that's part of your story already.
Well, if you know it's going to happen.
If you know that character has to die, then yes.
Especially if I'm frustrated with the character and just want to visualize his death.
Well, for me, I want my characters to die like me, old and never.
Well, and like it all depends on the
Riding
story you want to tell too.
Into a volcano. No.
It all depends on the story you want to tell. Like we now, when we know that we're going to start a new comic project, we establish the ending before we even start. We know how our book is going to end. We know what we have to do to get there.
Otherwise it goes.
Now it's just a matter of like getting through the journey and sharing the journey. So like we know what's going to happen with the characters. We know everything that's going to happen at the end of the series. And it sounds stupid, but it makes such a world of difference instead of trying to do like Monster of the Week type stuff. It really does.
You know, sometimes though your character is going to tell you.
Oh yeah. There's times when they're like, I ain't going out like that. Why couldn't Boba Fett have done that?
No, I've been.
He went out like a punk.
I don't believe that story.
No.
Did Disney tell you to say that?
I got $29.95.
Hell, George Lucas doesn't even know what his characters are anymore.
No.
He's gonna turn around.
Which is really sad, because the original Star Wars movies are like the perfect example of the hero's journey from start to finish. Like, textbook. And now it's like, what? How do I lightsaber?
More CG!
Yeah, actually, no. The story of Luke Skywalker is a great story from A New Hope through Return of the Jedi.
Red Letter Media. The Red Letter Media review breaks it down phenomenally well.
I mean, it's a nobody, everyday kid whose only interest was you know,
murders.
hanging out with his friends and, you know,
shooting.
Shooting poor helpless creatures.
He's
for fun.
And he became a hero.
But he's got destiny.
Yeah.
But, you know, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He managed to pick up these 2 droids. Wrong place, wrong time.
Oh, but Anakin made them.
We are ignoring chapters 1, 2, and 3 in this discussion.
The first rule about Hayden Christensen is we don't talk about Hayden Christensen.
So, you know, so he gets thrust into it. His aunt and uncle are killed.
Spoilers!
Sorry.
No.
Way to go.
You know what? That movie came out how many years ago?
I believe the statute of limitations.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't called a come here or spoilers panel.
That would be an awesome panel.
We're going to spoil everything.
That would have been great when Breaking Bad was still on. Oh, the people we could have made angry.
Well, but if they showed up.
There's an interesting character journey.
Nah.
You know, and Luke does start out as the reluctant hero.
Yeah.
And then there are, you know...
And you even have, like, the characters like Megamind, too. Or, like,
I love Megamind.
I love that.
Megamind
No,
is
but
such
that's
a
what I'm
great
saying.
story.
He wanted to be a bad guy. In his head, that's what he had to be, that's what he wanted to be, and he sucked at it.
Has anybody not seen Megamind? Oh.
You seriously give it a chance.
That's why
It's
I
cute.
wasn't like, and then this happened.
It's surprisingly cute, and it's not really what everybody thinks it's gonna
No,
be.
it really wasn't.
Statute of limitations isn't up on Megamind, so we
That's,
won't
that's
spoil
why
it.
I said. That's why I said. You know, and you can tell from the previews
Also,
he's not good
Brad
at it.
Pitt is doing such a George Clooney impression. Oh my god, it's unbelievable.
Thank you. I thought I was like the only person that noticed that.
No.
Yeah, and there's other aspects of that movie where it is not the typical villain superhero relationship at all, but they do it so well.
Boys, you're both very pretty.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Can we go
so
home now?
you have like the Magneto, like Professor X, like almost brotherhood aspect, but it's nothing like anything with that aspect.
So, got time for maybe one more question. Yes?
You have a general idea of what the villain is going to do? How do you work out the motives? You have a general idea of the actions first.
Okay, so figuring out the motives for your villain, why he's evil. Well, I like using these examples. Okay, Lex Luthor. What is Lex Luthor's motivation?
Money?
To be the best.
He took my hair. I must kill him.
But then look at like the Joker.
To kill Batman.
The Joker has no motivation. You know,
It
to
was
use
when-
the best line from The Dark Knight, does he really look like the kind of guy who has a plan?
Yeah.
He everything is purely chaos with him.
Yeah.
He does something.
He does something chaotic to get chaos.
The whole line
what he
about
wants.
like introduce a little anarchy.
Yeah.
Like that resonated with me. That was like the quintessential Joker line to me.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, they got it right.
Yeah.
Some villains don't have a reason for doing what they do.
No.
And
that's why he's in his Amazon.
Didn't his motivation end up being wanting to bring down Harvey Dent?
In the movie, sure, but like
yeah, well,
comic
he
book-
wanted to see if he could.
Right, and in the movie it just switched. It was just that shiny object that came on the left that he got his attention was Harvey Dent.
But even like comic book Joker, like has anybody in here? Raise your hand if you've read The Killing Joke. Oh. I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
I will not spoil it because it is hands down. It is one of the 2 books that Ledger used when he created his Joker. It is hands down the most disturbing Joker read you'll ever pick up. Like Killing Joke and Long Halloween are like the quintessential Joker stories. Find it, read it, and you will understand what we mean. It is just insanely well written. It's arguably in like my top 5 comics of all time. It's so good.
As I understand it, when it comes to villains, from at least my perspective, they don't really know they're evil. They think they're good.
Yeah, in their
They're just
mind,
willing
they
to go
think
a lot
they're-
further
Well,
than the
evil is all
heroes
just a
are.
point of view.
Right,
Exactly.
and sometimes you do.
We're Palpatine, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
Magneto's like the perfect example.
Right.
There. Yeah.
But I mean, there are some of the villains that you'll find that just torture people and want to take over the world, not even because they think it's right, but because they can, and that's what they want.
They think they're right, so they
Yeah.
must be.
Loki.
Yeah, the difference between good and evil is which side of it you're looking at.
Right.
Loki's like jealous of
Loki's
Loki's very Loki's a lot of things. He's very jealous. He's very revenge driven. Oh, Tom Hiddleston, why won't you love me?
because you're married.
Yeah. Oh, please. That's like a pass, girl. Like, if that happens, I'll
That's
be
on
like,
the
later,
that's on the
bitch.
list of 5 right there.
And
So, if you guys have any other additional questions, I mean, we are going to be here all weekend. We're in
At the
our
table.
Sally.
talk to us.
Come talk to us.
Just sit there sometimes.
Seriously though, just develop your characters out, you know, and if there's something that you feel is missing in the character, try and figure out where it is and just, you know, give it a history, ask your character questions.
Yep.
And
It
how they
sounds
would answer
weird.
them. It does. Talk to yourself.
It's okay to listen to the voices in your head. Just don't do what they tell you to do.
No, but yeah, fleshed out characters are going to be more
That was just so perfect. I talked
robust.
to you guys, like on the front.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.